Headlines. Traumatized by banditry, violated and impregnated by supposed helpers. Story of 17-year-old Zainab Umar. Role of concern over role of child soldiers in war against insurgency. Coalition of civil society organizations gives President Muhammadu Buhari ultimatum to sign a reworked electoral amendment bill. And on the foreign scene, as Russia and Ukraine tension mounts, Ukraine liberal leaders order full military mobilization. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now the news in full. Banditry and terrorist activities in Katsina State still linger, causing destruction, devastation and tragic tale of unquantifiable proportion. 16-year-old Zainab Umar is one example of the devastating effects of the violence. She is traumatized by the gruesome killing of her parents by bandits in Jibia. Though she was displaced and survived the attacks, but taking refuge in a village in the Rimi local government area of the state comes with another sense of violence. Zainab was raped and impregnated by a yet-to-be-identified individual. Abdullahi Yamadi visits Rimi to see how she copes.
It is apparently clear that Zainab is mentally sick, a situation her guardian Malam Umar attributed to the trauma of the unfortunate killing of her parents by suspected bandits 2 years ago in Gangara village of Jibia local government. Since the unfortunate incidents, Zainab neither talk nor make any gesture to communicate with family, friends or relations. Thereafter the killing of her parents, Zainab came under the care of Malam Umar, who is the younger brother to her late father. Worried by the incessant attacks, killings and abductions as well as rustling of animals, Malam Umar was forced to relocate from Gangara village of Jibia local government area to Masaba village of Rimi local government, all of Katsina State. At Masaba village, where Zainab along with her guardians are taking refuge, somebody took advantage of her condition and impregnated her. All efforts to support Zainab to trace the person responsible for her pregnancy proved abortive, as she neither talks nor make gestures. However, the Administrative Secretary of Human Rights Network of Nigeria Katsina State Chapter, Malam Ahmad Dantatamashi, and a member of Save the Children Foundation, Malam Nura Isyaku, promised to take up the issue of Zainab to uncover the person responsible for her pregnancy and the two organizations to take responsibilities of her antenatal and postnatal care. You see, these people were displaced from another village to this village. As they came, this lady was impregnated, and I, as well as the village head and ward heads of Masabu and Ajiwa, did all we could to see that we assisted this lady to uncover the person responsible for her pregnancy, but it proved abortive. You see, our concern as members of Save the Children is to see that she delivered without any problem. We see her child without any problem, and herself delivered without any problem. Malam Umar, a guardian to Zainab and a father of 24 with 2 wives, was forced to abandon his farmland and a house in Gangara village in Jibia local government to Masabu Irimi, a distance of about 100 kilometers. Besides being displaced, Malam Umar had a fracture on his leg following a motorbike accident which forced him to stay indoors for over 2 months. Though disturbed by the economic predicament which is hitting too hard on his head and his family, as well as squatting in this dilapidated house, Malam Umar is more concerned about the vulnerability of Zainab. Since I arrived this village 2 years ago, I have been having so many problems. You know, for somebody to relocate from one place to another, the burden is going to be too much, and that is why we are suffering too much. I cannot even reach my basic needs and the basic needs of my family. And look at my condition now. I had a fracture on my leg. And my major concern now is Zainab, who is very vulnerable. I don't even know what to do. There are many children, such as Zainab, and hundreds of other families like that of Malam Umar. Hence the need for government, corporate bodies, and well-to-do individuals in the society to support families of victims and survivors of banditry and terrorism in Katsina and other northwestern states. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Meanwhile, the use of child soldiers by insurgents and armed groups is not a recent phenomenon, even with calls for state actors and armed groups to stop the recruitment of child soldiers across the world. In Borno State, a 16-year-old joined a civilian joint task force to combat insurgency in the state. The report.
The terrorist network recruited thousands of children to support its fight against state actors. A counter-strategy is used by the Civilian Joint Task Force, where it employed 2,273 children to join its ranks against the insurgents. There have been global condemnation and an action plan to prohibit use of child soldiers in the Northeast. In 2017, the civilian JTF agreed to an action plan not to recruit innocent children in armed conflicts.
Then we decided to push out all those we arrest and hand over, arrest and hand over. So at that time, we have children mingling around us. They come to our checkpoints, just opening gates, closing. They will sweep our environment, the location that we are sitting. We are sending them to buy this thing for us. These are the used that we use them. We did not arm them, you understand? But they are conveying our matches and cutlass and other like porters. We use them.
Mustafa Hamza said he joined civilian JTF because of devastating insurgency. When I was recruited, I sweep their houses in the morning, wash clothes. Sometimes we take food to them, and sometimes too we cook for them. 15 of us did these chores. My parents knew I was working for the group. They prayed for my guidance. At that time, the town was in crisis, so I didn't attend school. Mustafa Hamza is among thousands of boys engaged by the civilian JTF in 2013. He stopped attending school at the age of 9 because of the crisis, and anything to survive on counts a lot. With the war almost over, tailoring keeps him busy, but he has other plans. Apart from this tailoring job, I'm also schooling. I want to become a politician, like a governor or president, so that I will reach out to those in the forest to embrace dialogue and return home, and engage in business and enjoy peace. The campaign against child soldiers will continue to ring bells for state actors and armed groups to desist any plans involving children in conflicts.
And the Northern Consensus Movement has called on the Nigerian government to prioritize its responsibility of protecting lives and property of Nigerians following the recent attack of some northerners in Abia State. President of the movement, Awal Aliyu, who made the charge during a news conference in Abuja, stressed that unless the government lives up to its responsibilities of safeguarding its citizens, the perpetrators of the act might succeed in their ploy to spark a retaliation, thereby leading to more crises.
00 hours. About 9 people lost their lives, 76 cows dead, an unaccountable number of goats, as well as unaccountable number of human beings that were carted away or taken away by these people, including monies and some valuables. We are also calling on federal government and security agencies in particular to be more proactive and pragmatic in taking up their responsibility of protecting lives and properties of every citizen in Nigeria, irrespective of creed. It is most likely the perpetrators of the attackers are deliberately doing so just to push the North to retaliate so as to spark up a regional tension that may lead to yet another civil war. God forbid. Notwithstanding, we are calling on all northerners resident in the eastern part of Nigeria to return home without delay for their safety, while we are assuring our Igbo brothers living in the north not to panic, as there is no cause for alarm, hence their safety is guaranteed. And we also feel that there is need to shield every sword and embrace dialogue for whatever reason leading to such inhuman.
Now to politics, where a coalition of civil society organizations has given President Muhammadu Buhari till the 22nd of February to assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill or risk altering activities for the 2023 general elections. The group, while addressing journalists in Abuja, noted that the bill, which had lingered for too long, only awaits the signature of the president. Sagir Ibrahim has the report.
A coalition of civil society organizations are demanding presidential assent and passage of Nigeria's Electoral Act Amendment Bill on or before the 22nd of February. In their address, they explained that Nigerians have grown impatient and are currently frustrated due to the president's refusal to assent to the bill.
We have lobbied enough. We have pleaded enough with the president. What more do they want us to do? We've been working and lobbying them. They quickly were able to pass the bill, and the president still has not assented. He kept it for 30 days and never come back to Nigerian people, waited for the 30 days. Does that mean that the president does not have enough legal staff, including the Attorney General of the country, to look at issues that is of utmost concern to Nigerians, to be able to react to it? And so I think we are really tired. We are frustrated, because we have respected enough. We know what to do.
They reminded President Buhari that delaying assent to the bill is a breach on the promises he made to Nigerians.
The president's delay in signing this bill is also a delay in the promise that he made that he's going to be the people's president. And now, Mr. President, the people is speaking. You do have a private jet that the country pays for. I don't think your presence in Brussels is more important than the democratic development of this country. His refusal will mean a lot, and his signing it will mean much more to the most vulnerable in our society. So please, Mr. President, you have one more time, one more chance to write your name in gold.
The group applauded the National Assembly for addressing majority of the drafting errors in the bill and also pledged to continue to lobby government until the needful is done.
Based on the transmitted version of the bill that we have reviewed, there's just one clause in particular that is yet to be resolved. But that again is also a subject of interpretation. But I think it's important to commend the National Assembly for acceding to the request that citizens made to address the drafting errors and the cross-referencing gaps. There is need for further amendments to the provisions of the bill. He should assent to the bill and forward amendments in the same way he's done for the PIB as well as the appropriation bill.
The next step for us within the remit of what we can do as civil society will be to, of course, explore the possibility of protests and also the lobbying that you talked about. There are folks who we can reach. I think maybe we'll be thinking of the Peace Commission now and the rest of them. And as you know, civil society situation also has a responsibility for escalation, and that lobbying that you talk about, we're going to explore those possibilities.
The electoral bill, once passed, is expected to address issues regarding early release of funds to INEC, inclusion of persons with disabilities, electronic accreditation of voters, electronic transmission of results, among other issues. Sagir Ibrahim reporting for Trust TV.
Meanwhile, youth in Bauchi want President Muhammadu Buhari to assent to the reworked electoral bill in the interest of the entire nation, saying that his assent will change the narrative on the electoral process. Adamu Imam now reports.
Many Nigerians youth are believed to be given the opportunity to lead the country this time around. The slow phase of preparation towards 2023 general election is the main source of concern to many aspirants as well as the electorates.
So it will be somehow negative for the president not to assent to this amended bill, because by not assenting to it means the status quo will remain the same. And we expect that the president will reverse some things and transform our electoral system and provide sort of a better platform for Nigerians to choose the leaders they really love and have maybe confidence in them.
We don't want a situation where some delegates will just sell the rights of our citizens. I reserve right as a citizen to vote for whoever is the best for me. So we don't want it to happen the same way it has been happening earlier. So we want to make sure that our votes are counted.
Meanwhile, on the contrary, some says even inside the bill, the conduct of electronic voting and subsequent transfer of election results electronically will not augur well with the rural communities. However, they express different views.
Everybody knows there are some issues, some sentimental issues behind. I don't know, between the lawmakers and the governors, there are certain issues behind it. And I'm pleading as a Nigerian that we are not in support of that. All we are after, let me tell you, from 1999 till date, the slogan of our campaign is road, hospital, school, water, potable drinking water. Nigerian cannot get a potable drinking water. Talk less of power.
A common man will abandon everything he's doing to make sure that he queue up to exercise his franchise when it comes to election. But the end result is just a mess up at the end of everything. And I just believe the Mr. President will consent to all what we are saying and all our voice will be heard so that this electoral bill will be put to action.
Still, some are of the opinion that Nigerians deserve to get new leadership that will tackle the lingering security challenges as well as the economic doldrums in the country. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
You're watching Trust TV News Update. Coming up after the break, Abuja's most expensive dinner. This and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Update. Now look at our top stories. 17-year-old Zainab Umar, traumatized by banditry, violated and impregnated by supposed helpers. And use of child soldiers by insurgents and armed groups is not a recent phenomenon, even with the calls for state actors and armed groups to stop the recruitment of child soldiers across the world. And in other news, Nigeria on Friday recorded 39 cases of COVID-19 infections. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, says the new cases were recorded in 3 states and the Federal Capital Territory. A breakdown of the infections shows that Lagos recorded 25 cases of coronavirus, followed by Rivers with 6 cases. Delta and FCT reported 4 each. With the new infections, Nigeria now has a total of 254,221 cases, 230,549 recoveries, and 3,142 fatalities. Meanwhile, World Health Organization says Nigeria has been selected as one of the 6 countries to receive the technology that is needed to produce mRNA vaccines. Motorists in Kano State are accusing the independent marketers of worsening fuel scarcity in the state capital. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that despite the withdrawal of the adulterated fuel, motorists spend hours on queues to buy fuel in many parts of the state. His report.
The suffering of these people started few days ago when an adulterated petroleum product was detected across many filling stations in Kano, which some motorists say is still creating hardship in getting the product. This petroleum scarcity is disturbing us. We have been here since morning. We are in this filling station, and across this area you can see that this is the only filling station that is selling. And we have been suffering this for the past like 5 days, and it keeps on going like that.
Sai an zo mai bi kana dab da shiga sai a sami tsaiko. Allah shugabanni dan Allah su daure su ba talaka sauki a cikin.
We are begging on the authorities, please, to help us solve this problem. Look at it, it's not only the petroleum problem that we are having. See, food prices has gone so far, and then the issue of this petroleum. We have come here since morning, and up to this moment, I still don't understand what is going on here. According to motorists, there are many filling stations who did not brought in the adulterated fuel, but still chose to remain closed. I can remember this problem, we had this problem 20 years ago. We know during General Sani Abacha, there was this kind of adulterated petrol that was brought into Nigeria, and we suffered during that time. And now we are still suffering again. It has come again, this adulterated petroleum product. And we've been suffering for quite some times. We are just calling for authorities to help us and see how they can be able to solve this problem so that we will stop suffering like this.
I
have never seen this kind of problem since President Buhari came to power. And this petroleum problem, they said they have brought in adulterated product, and there is an instruction that it has been withdrawn out of the market. And now why are we having this kind of problem? You go to filling station, you will see some filling stations selling at 210 naira, 220 naira, and no one is saying anything. Nobody is ready. If you go to other areas like Ring Road, like Hadeja Road, you will see many filling stations that are closed and they have the product, but they refuse to open for sale. Meanwhile, as the fuel queues continues within the metropolitan city of Kano, motorists are calling on authorities to provide a lasting solution to the problem. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Now, paying $1,000 fee for just a dinner date will sound exorbitant. It is the equivalent of over 500,000 naira going by the value of the naira at the parallel market. But Chef Stone, a restaurant owner, offered this staggering amount for couples in Abuja on Valentine's Day, and many salivated to get their slice. Justifying the fee, Abiola Akanji said the dinner is a one-day experience in a year.
The $1,000 dinner was an interesting one because when I thought about doing a dinner for the yet to be open restaurant, I said, you know what, I want to blow everything out of the water. I want to do something no one has ever done before. And it wasn't even about the price, because in the end, we spent more money to pull the dinner together than we actually made. But for me, it was about doing something that had never been done before. It was about doing a dinner that could stand with any dinner in the world. I wanted to do something on that level. Any Michelin star chef or Michelin star restaurant, the kind of dinner they serve, that was what I wanted to give my guests. So it was about doing something different. You know, everybody does the same thing. You do Valentine's and then you want to do a dinner, and it's almost the same thing everywhere, but I wanted to do something that was totally different. So when I even told my team that it was going to be $1,000, everybody was like, wow, $1,000, why $1,000? And I said, you know what, I want it to be very intimate and I want it to be very exclusive. A small number of people, 10 couples only, nothing more than that. Let those 10 couples have the time of their lives. That was what it was all about.
And now look at the foreign scene, where leaders of the eastern Ukraine breakaway regions of Donetsk and Luhansk have declared a full military mobilization amid a spike in violence in the war-torn region that the West fears could be used as a pretext for an invasion by Russia. Russia's President Vladimir Putin said he will oversee major military drills along Ukraine's border on Saturday, while Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is heading to Europe to drum up support. Russia has rejected U.S. allegations that it's responsible for cyber attacks on Ukrainian banking and government websites as baseless. Meanwhile, Chief of the European Union's executive, Ursula von der Leyen, says Moscow's threat towards Ukraine could reshape the entire international system, warning Moscow that is thinking from a dark past that could cause Russia a prosperous future. And in sports, Athletics Integrity Unit, AIU, has handed Nigerian sprinter Blessing Okagbari a 10-year ban following her expulsion from last year's Tokyo Olympics for doping violations. The 2008 Beijing Olympics long jump silver medalist got 5 years for the presence and use of multiple prohibited substances and another 5 years for her refusal to cooperate with the AIU's investigation into her case. The unit expelled the 33-year-old from the Tokyo Olympics last year before the women's 100 meters semi-finals after testing positive for human growth hormone at an out-of-competition test in Slovakia on July 19th. And a brace from debutant Ifeoma Onumunu gives Nigeria an edge in the first leg match against Cote d'Ivoire played on Friday at the MKO Abiola Stadium. The two goals were scored in the 21st and 57th minute. The visitors gave a good fight against the Super Falcons, but were curtailed. Ashley Plumter put up a scintillating performance in the encounter as she received accolades from spectators for her performance on her debut for Nigeria. The second leg comes up on Wednesday, February 23rd in Abidjan. And with that, we conclude Trust TV News Update for this hour. Don't forget, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for joining us.